Hello and welcome to Crafts for Kids. I'm your host, Jann. It's almost Halloween, a very popular holiday in the US. In fact, other countries have liked our Halloweens so much that it's spread around the globe. And here at PEG TV, we can't resist a good Halloween project to send a little frightful fun to you. Now these haunting creatures are for you to make out of paper rolls. I call these TP tubes, and I hope that you save them throughout the year. We use them for projects now and then. Now I'll show you how to do it. This is what you need. You need glue. I used white glue, liquid, because it's a little bit stronger than glue stick. Paint, and if you want to add some glitter, I recommend an iridescent glitter glue, because it works in all colors, and that way you don't need a big arsenal of glitter. A glue punch is helpful. You can poke holes differently. Some paper, some pipe cleaners would be good. Wiggle eyes are optional. Little tiny pom-poms are optional. You will need clips. I've painted this clothespin. Any kind of clip you have, like a paper clip, that'll work very well. This is to, glue a hat on or something like that. Scissors, definitely. A pencil, yes, always useful. So the first one, I'll tell you how to make these and do a demo on some of them. This little pumpkin, if you take a paper tube and cut it in half, and then I will hold this up for you. And after you've cut it in half, you can add the stem on later if you want. Round the corners, just cut them round with scissors. And do the bottom. Make a nice round on the bottom. Just on the edges. And you always want to make sure that's connected at the edge. And then paint it. And if you want to make a jack-o'-lantern out of it, use a black pen. So that's the... Now the monster is so much fun to do. You might be wanting to do a bunch of monsters. This is a hole that's been cut out, so I'll show you how to do that because it makes a screaming monster. So take a paper tube, and we always fold them in half very gently, and that's just so we can draw on them. And I'm going to cut, you don't have to draw this, but I'm going to cut a half circle out. And this is the mouth. This is the gaping mouth. So there you have a hole cut out for the mouth. Now the teeth, this is fantastic, I think. Take whatever's left over and then cut it, the teeth, right in the middle, just any way you like. They certainly don't have to be even. Monsters don't have even teeth. Just a zigzag cut. And then you can paint them, whatever color you like, and then glue them after you've painted everything. Tuck them in and glue them. So hope you get the idea from that. And then the top of the monster, it's a pretty big mouth. The hair is so much fun, and the way I did it, I just cut slits like that all the way around, certainly random. Now they can be little triangles, they can be slits, they can be whatever you like. In fact, you don't have to cut them at all. You can just paint something. Okay, and then I started painting. The inside of this is black, so it really shows that the mouth is open. And then I paint the face or the hair, whatever you like. And I do paint the inside of it because you do see it. And then after it's done, you can add texture, you can add little spots, you can add stripes, whatever you like to your monster. And then glue on an eye or two or three. Now the next one I'll show you is the cat. I think I'll put a light colored paper roll in the back so you can kind of see how I did this. First of all, I drew the head. That's about a 2-inch circle. And then lines to make the shoulders. And then I'll take this and I cut around the head just a little bit. I don't know if you can see it. So the head sticks out when I press this together. That makes the head a little bit more prominent. Now, folding it back again, make an upside down U. You draw it and then cut it. And then cut a little tiny one on the side. And that makes 4 legs. 4 legs. And then punch a hole in the center back. I also trim off the back. It just looks a little better. And this hole is going to hold a pipe cleaner. I'll show you how to do that. I'll take one of these pipe cleaners, fold it in half, like that, and sort of squidge the end together, and then curve it any way you like. This is going to be a cat's tail. And then feed this through the hole, and then glue it. And I did use a little hot glue there because it needed, or you could use a piece of tape or something like that. But it just makes a wonderful tail. Now the hat is a triangle. So you just cut it out of a contrast color paper, add a little pom-pom to it. And then for the eyes and nose and whiskers, I cut the whiskers, little slivers of white paper. That worked very well. String was too heavy, thread sort of draped, paper worked perfectly. And then glue that on, and then if you want a little pom-pom for the nose, that was fine. You could also paint the nose or put a little circle of contrast paper. Eyes, I use wiggle eyes. You can also just paint on white dots with maybe a black in the center. And then it's time to glue on the hat when you're finished. The ears. I cut that from the scraps, glued them on, and then painted everything. And now for the bat. This is a hanging bat, which I think is so much fun because they do hang in real life. So here's the next step. We have a tube. I'll put this in front to give you an idea. The bat is a little bit short. Now the ears are essential. Bats can't go anywhere without their ears because that's how they navigate. So however you want to do this, you can draw a curve for the top of the body, a curve for the bottom of the body, and then draw the ears. Or ears first, whatever appeals to you. And then punch 2 holes at the back. Those will be for the legs, the pipe cleaner legs. And then paint it. And then paint eyes or add little wiggle eyes, whatever you like for the eyes. Now I'll show you how to do the legs. You take 1 whole pipe cleaner and sort of fold it in half like this. You do want it to be pretty even. And then hold the bat upside down and poke the legs through like that. And then sort of pull them out so they're even. So they're like that. There's poor little bat. He's hanging already. And then make these go flat. Actually, you know what? I did that backwards. Let's do it the other way. Okay, you start from the back and then poke these through. Like that. There we go. And then press them flat so they're hanging like that. Okay, the next step is to take something like a pencil. And then you start wrapping the legs around. Make sure they're separate. Wrap the legs around the pencil. Just get those going. And then sort of hold it and continue the roll a bit until the legs are the length you want. And I think I'm going to keep on going. And there you have a hanging bat. And then you can take this out and slide it onto anything you want, like the branch. Okay, now I want to show you, you do this before you do the wings. So to make the wings, it may look complicated, But I actually do this on scrap paper first. Fold a piece of paper in half and then draw like a very shallow circle to make a point, and then draw a line down like that. And then the next thing I do to decide where to do these curves, I draw a triangle from the point like that. Now I haven't drawn the bottom yet. So I add a point, I hold the bat up to make sure the point is below the bat, and then just draw circles connecting all those lines, and then cut it out. Then open it up and glue the bat to the wings and let it dry flat for a while, a few hours, and then you can hang it somewhere. So much fun. Now you can do a whole tree of bats. They can be different colors, they can be whatever you like, but it's very amusing, and you might hang a bat in some funny place in your home or your classroom. Anyway, it's a batty idea. Now let's talk about the witch. The witch has a similar sort of cut. The head is much smaller. It's got a green face. I didn't want the witch to look ugly, but sort of pretty, so I painted a purple mouth. Now the shoulders are cut. I think I cut these down too far. I think I'd make it a little bit higher. And for the arms, it's just a strip of paper that I've painted and then glued on. After it's cut, paint it whenever you like and however you like, and then add strips of hair. This is raffia. And the hat is very similar to the one for the cat. It's a triangle made out of black paper. So you can paint the face however you like and then add hair and the hat. And I just left the bottom of it flat. Now if you want to add a broom or a pumpkin, you can cut that out and then glue that on. And arms if you want, those are optional. Now the spider is, again, just a third of this paper roll. And it's pretty flat on the bottom. And the top is curved. Now for my spider, I cut a little circle, like a 1-inch circle for the head, and put it and glued it on. Don't know if you need that. But what's fun is every spider has 8 legs. So you'll need 4 pipe cleaners cut in half to make the legs. And I'll show you how to do that. So here's one pipe cleaner. It's half of a pipe cleaner. And I'm going to fold it in half this way. We want them to be pretty even. So it looks something like that. And then poke 4 holes, 2 holes on either side of the fold. And on the other side, 2 holes, about 3/8 of an inch apart, whatever you like, 2 holes on either side. And that makes 8. And that is a very easy way to set up a spot for 8 legs. Okay, the next thing you do is poke these through the holes, these legs, like that. And then pull them all the way through. And the next step is to bend them. Just sort of bend them in half. So there you have 2 legs. So you do that all around the spider. And I did forget to tell you to paint it first. Do paint it first. I like to do the inside too. That's optional. And then again, for the eyes, you can add wiggle eyes or paint the eyes. And again, put a nose on if you want. But that's how you do the legs for the spider. Now the ghost. This can be a hanging ghost. So it means that the end of it is tapered and it wouldn't stand up. Or you can do a wavy bottom like this, but just make sure that it stands up. So the first thing to do with a ghost is to curve the top of it and it's a little bit tapered. You can draw a circle first if you want, and it goes up down to the side. And be sure to leave the edge so it stays together. Now the ghost has a mouth and two eyes. They can be painted or they can be wiggle eyes. And just for fun, I added a coat of glitter glue, iridescent. You can also put it just around the edge, which I did on that one. So those are 7 different Halloween figures, haunting figures, to put wherever you like in your home or your classroom. Now I hope you watch the next episode because we're going to make pumpkins for November. And you can do them in orange and black or white and black or purple and black for Halloween. So this is just a tease to show you what's coming up. So join us for the next segment. Now I hope you have fun trick-or-treating. Happy Halloween. Thank you for joining us. Bye-bye. Hello and welcome to Crafts for Kids. I'm your host, Jann. We love to draw inspiration from nature, and it's autumn in Vermont, and the trees and leaves delight us, and the pumpkins in every size and shape are so much fun, and they are the inspiration for today's project. They are honeycomb paper pumpkins. And I love these pumpkins as an autumnal decoration. They would make a wonderful Thanksgiving table centerpiece. Even one pumpkin or maybe a couple. And the little ones could be tucked on windowsills. You know, it's just so much fun. And I'll show you how to do it. The first step is we need patterns. Now Peg TV has posted the patterns, and each pattern will tell you how many copies of each pumpkin you need. They're going to be folded in half like this. Here's one that's cut. We cut them folded, and it's so much easier. They open like that. So the number is meaning 1 on the fold. So you trace the patterns onto a light cardboard, like a cereal box. That works perfectly well. Now the other thing you need are glue. It can be a glue stick for some paper, like construction paper, pair of scissors, some clips. It can be clothespins, they work well, especially for the larger pumpkins, or little clips, or even paper clips can be useful. Just something to hold the pumpkin while it's drying from the glue. We need a pencil, and we also need paper. Surprisingly, maybe, construction paper works especially well because it's a matte surface. It's kind of a soft texture, and it really holds the glue nicely. And I use that for these pumpkins. It takes too much paper in my mind for the large pumpkins. So I'm going to put that to the side. For the large pumpkin, I use paper on a roll. Worked very well. And the inside looks slightly different than the outside. I don't know if you can tell, but I think it added another dimension to the paper pumpkin. Now the other thing is these wonderful paper grocery bags. This is superb paper. So save yours works well. And with this kind of paper and the craft roll, you definitely need glue, liquid glue. But for construction paper, I'm going to use this. So I'm going to make a little pumpkin out of construction paper. So I will use this pattern, and I need 24 pumpkins to make these. So the first step to do that is hold your paper like a book and then fold it in half and match the corners and press it. Now, good sharp creases are helpful here. So take a pencil or something like that and crease it. Hold it like a book again. We're going to fold it again, matching the corners. This just helps us cut it evenly. And I always press it with my fingers first and then go over it with a pencil or something like that. like a book. Now I'm going to take these scissors and cut this in half, and this will help us. The crease is a guideline for cutting. The next step, hold it like a book. We're going to fold it one more time. Match the corners as best you can and give it a nice sharp crease. Now, the patterns say place on fold, and that means the fold of the paper. Here's how you can tell. It forms a little tent. Now, if I put it this way, you can see, you don't see the fold. So if you always need a reminder, this is a good way to do it. We're going to place this pattern, the edge of this, on the edge of this fold. Just line it up. And this helps us make a nice pattern to cut out, and then trace around it lightly with a pencil. Now it's going to be very hard for you to see. I don't think you'll be able to see this, but I hope you get the idea. And then we cut this. I cut just inside the pencil line, so you don't see it. We don't want to see it. And hold all the sheets together. Just cut nice and slowly, just inside the pencil line. And I'm actually cutting two at the same time, so it's very time efficient. There. Okay, there's two cut out. So I'm going to do that again. I'll show you one more time. So here's the other half of the paper. And I'm holding it like a book and then folding it over so the corners meet pretty well, meet fairly well. And then crease it again with a pencil or something like that. And then just so you always know where the fold is, to place the pattern, so I'm going to do it again and fold it again so the two meet. And then trace it. Just gently with a pencil line that's just hard enough so you can see it. And then I'm going to cut this out again just on the inside of the line so that the pencil line doesn't show. Hope you can see a pumpkin coming to life here. I cut the stem. Now if you're really short on paper, because you can use scraps for this too, you don't have to do the stem if it's taking up too much room or whatever paper you're working with. Okay, so now we have 4 pumpkins. I've already started this just so you don't have to sit here for a while. And I will place a scrap of paper because I'm going to be gluing this. So you always want to protect your work surface. Now I will use the glue stick. This is extra strength, which I really do recommend for these pumpkins. So the first gluing, we always do 2 lines. We're going to do 1 at the stem and then 1 at the middle. And just, I like to do a couple of those. And then fold it. And I like to press where the glue has been just to give it sort of a head start. And I'll repeat that a couple more times. Glue stick, 1 glue. Yeah, even though this looks impressive, the technique is simple. And then 1 glue across like that. And we close it up. You can see why folding it is so helpful. Otherwise, we'd cut the whole pumpkin out and then have to fold it in half. So this is cut out that step. Now we're going to glue right in the middle of the stem and then the glue in the center of the pumpkin. A nice solid bit of glue. And I don't know that I'm hitting the pumpkin center exactly right, but it seems to work out, so don't be too concerned about it. Just do your best. So again, right in the center, a nice stripe of glue. Now after you've done all 24 for this size, Then we glue them together in a slightly different way. We're going to put one stripe of glue or strip of glue near the top and about not quite an inch from the bottom. And we're going to start stacking these, just one at a time. And then again, it's nice to give it a little press where you glued it to give it a head start. So another strip of glue near the top and near the bottom. And just do your best to try and do it in the same spot for each pumpkin. Give it a little press. And again, this is near the top and near the bottom. And this is the same technique for all the different sizes. So it's, once you learn it, I recommend starting with a small one. You've got the technique. Okay, now I've done these already. So I'm going to do this pumpkin the very same way. And then this pumpkin. Now there should be 24 layers here. Layers, 24 pumpkin shapes. And now I'm going to put a book, place it on the table and put a book on it to help press it together for 15 minutes. Now that may not seem like a lot, but somehow it glues it enough together. I've got one to show you. So that all the pages don't glue together solid. Yeah, it's surprisingly a good amount of time. The next step is after 15 minutes, you pull it away from the book and just gently separate. Make sure they're all separate, nothing's really glued together. To give you an idea, it's starting to look like that. Now, isn't that fun? Now I'm going to glue it together. So again, it's the same glue technique that you did for the second gluing. And I will put the cap on this. Now I will need some paper clips to hold it together. So try and hold a few pieces on each side and pull it around like that. And then we're going to clip it. I love clothespins because they're so good on it. Now this time you do let it dry for quite a while. I would say an hour. Sometimes when I glue things, I let them dry overnight. You know, I just forget about it. So that's how you do one of the pumpkins. Now, I did show you one for Halloween. So if you do two tones, two different colors of paper, which actually I did here, I used 2 shades of orange because I didn't have 6 sheets of the same orange. And in this one right here, I used scraps of paper that I was able to fold just to get maybe one pumpkin out. And I think it's wonderful. I like both, whether all one color or a mix of colors. So I'll show you how to do this. For 24 pumpkins, I do half in one color and half in the other. So I'll demonstrate this with purple and black. And you glue it the same technique as you use for the solid color. Again, when it's open like this, you do it at the stem and then one in the center. I'll do 4 just to give you an idea. So it doesn't matter, you don't have to keep them separate at this point. One at the stem and then one in the middle again. So I'll do 2 in black. It's the absolute same gluing technique. Oh, and these I've already glued together. Okay. So we have a little head start here. So now I'll start with one color, and now we're going to do the gluing number 2, which is the top and the bottom, and you add the contrast one, and then press it, and then add the other color, so it's just black and purple and black, and then do the second gluing at the top and at the bottom, and alternate them like that. Now I'm going to try and open this even though they haven't had time to glue together. But maybe I can open it, kind of give you an idea. Nope, it's not. I really have to put this under a book for 15 minutes and then I can open it. But that gives you an idea of how to use alternating colors. So, paper pumpkins, honeycomb pumpkins, I think they're wonderful for autumn. And I hope you enjoy making them. Thank you for joining us. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy autumn. Bye-bye.